All right, and we're live. We're live. Welcome,
Yes, yes,
welcome
yes.
to HR Blunders on the HR.
Yes. I'm Jazz, the life engineer.
Uh-oh, we have some feedback.
Uh-oh. Feedback? Oh, everything was perfect. Hmm. It's feedback now? You still can't hear me?
Oh, you know what? Okay, I got it. It's me because I have it on my. I have it the channel up on my screen. All right, so just that was a blunder in and of itself. So I'll say, for our first show, our kickoff. So it's titled HR Blunders. I guess let's start with telling the people, like, I guess who we are, and then let's talk about like why we even decided to start this.
Sure, sure. You want to go first? You want me to go first or?
Yeah, you can go first. Yep.
Okay. Cool. I am Jasmine Jatan, aka Jazz the Life Engineer, and this podcast is so important to me because I've been in engineering, a practicing electrical engineer now for 25 years, and I have seen a lot of HR blunders.
Okay.
And um, I just wanted to be a part of giving solid information and creating helping to create a space where people could feel comfortable coming and discussing these topics and ideas without being fearful of divulging too much information on their job or etc. My specialty is all things soft skills, so this means a lot to me as well because I know that so many of us are struggling with our soft skills, and unfortunately it's hindering us in the workplace. And so I hope to help us to use this space to help people to gain those skills.
Okay. All right. I think that's awesome. I think we have to say too, to set the stage, you have over a 20-year career in engineering, corporate, Fortune 100 company. Um, so you've experienced that whole, corporate life. So I think that will be great, as we, converse and talk about some of the HR mishaps. So I'm the HR whisperer. I'm Clonetta Frazier. I'm the owner of Edmond Enterprises, which is a holding company that houses both our HR firm, the HR Whisperer, and also Fit Agency, our financial services firm that provides insurance benefits. But prior to that, I spent about a 20-year career in corporate HR with mostly like Fortune 100, Fortune 50 companies, global in scope. Had employees that I was leading across the globe. And I have seen some things. I've been in plant environments. And if you know what the plant is, then you know. Um, as well as the corporate, the little tight corporate spaces, that are supposed
Typical life.
to. But my goodness, sometimes behind closed doors, you might think that you're on the plant floor, honey. And so, so no, so I think we're gonna have fun with this show. And like Jasmine mentioned, she approached me, with it, and I was like, okay, I think that would be a great idea. I again, like we laugh and joke. We've done a couple of like shows before, and we both, fun fact, we come from the same hometown, so we became friends at what, 13, 14
Yep.
years old, from junior high
Yep.
school.
Yeah.
And and then went off, our separate, careers, or even before that, to school or whatever. And it's interesting, like I love being able to connect with you, on this, now, like in our adulthood
Yeah.
as well. But I think that it's, it provides a safe space. Ideally, we'll have people that will be able to send in questions that they might have or things that they want us to discuss or give our opinion on. And, of course, we will keep those things anonymous, so you don't have to worry about any retaliation, from your employer or what have you. But of course, keeping in mind, we will only be able to answer in a general scope, right? Because we won't have all of the facts and all the
Right.
details. But, and then we can, we'll share some stories, I'm sure, things that we've experienced ourselves. And just, maybe even some reflections on how things could have been handled differently, um, or maybe a little bit better, right? So I think it will be good overall, and we'll have fun while we're doing it. I do just want to mention that, we are planning to come to you guys, I think, a couple times a month.
Yeah.
So Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is our time. We will also have these posted on Spotify as well, so that you can access them there. So if you're in a commuter, which a lot of y'all are going to be commuters again, if you weren't, look after yesterday. So look, you can actually pull it up on Spotify while you're driving into that good office and listen to us there. So let's go.
See? Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
All right, so we can go ahead and get started.
All right. All right. Okay. So I think we kind of just explained what the podcast, broke down what the podcast is about. And so, did we want to start with the scenario?
Yeah, I think, yeah, let's start by jumping in and talking
Okay.
about a scenario. And then I think just because of, where we are in the country, um, I might give some commentary of, oh, thanks for joining us, Christina. And definitely, as always, chime in. That's my little sister girl from California, IA. She has her own consulting business, Fabric of Culture. She works a lot with nonprofits. She is the compliance queen. That is my go-to for compliance things.
All
And
right.
she is going to get you together. If are wondering like what you should be doing, she will let you know. But no, but I do, like, there's also some implications, just with the change in leadership of our country, that I think are going to not only affect or impact businesses, but also will have some impacts on the employee workforce. And so I
Mm,
think that's going to be interesting, as we move forward too.
okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, one one scenario that I dealt with was, and this is a particular story about me. I'll start with this one first. Um, Actually, I had a senior manager that was going around talking to everyone and kind of bad mouthing my work.
Mm.
And he he talked to my manager. He was telling other people in upper management. And I didn't work directly for him, so I didn't quite understand, what it was about, or why he was even
He was
doing.
a hater.
And I was like, man, what's going on? And so my manager told me about it. And I said, oh, well, I'm going to go have a chat with him. And he was like, no, no,
Mm.
no, no, don't go have a chat with him. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go down and talk to him and get some feedback, some constructive feedback, right,
Yeah.
on my performance. So, and this is challenging because this is kind of what I talk about having the right types of soft skills. Because, right,
Yeah.
we can't go down there and talk to them with a Dave Chappelle attitude of when keeping it real goes wrong, right? We've got to have, certain soft skills, to handle it. And so I went down to speak with him and ask him, what was it that, he thought could be improved about my process and what I was doing. Oh, he didn't see anything wrong with my process. Now my manager was the one that was all wrong and doing everything wrong. I said, oh,
Mm,
wow. So, long story short, me going down and speaking with him, he gave me a stretch assignment
mm.
and I ended up getting a bonus for doing the work.
Wow.
And so,
That's
right,
good.
and yeah, and it was one of those, yay, I handled the situation correctly, right?
Mhm.
But it could have went so wrong, right? Because you could have, I could have gone down there with too much emotion,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the number one thing that we have to remember, guys. We've got to take the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Because because when we get in our emotions about this stuff, we just can't think fast, right, and think clearly. And that's when we usually make one of those key core mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
No, I hear you. I think that I think a lot of people have experienced what you described, right? I almost feel like it's a rite of passage. You know, if you are actually again, if you're somebody that's climbing the ladder and you're being effective and you don't fit the norm or of the individuals, um that folks are used to seeing being able to achieve those particular heights or those particular positions, you will incur those challenges. And
right.
so I always caution folks and tell them, again, like the higher up the ladder you get, it becomes less about the technical and functional knowledge and more about learning how to and developing those skills on how to deal with people,
Yes.
how to move people around, how to be strategic enough to get accomplished what it is that your goal is. And so that's where a lot of folks make the mishaps, right? And again, I would be remiss to say that it's fair. It's not, it's unfair. Um, it is taxing mentally on you
Yes.
and sometimes even physically.
Right.
And I don't say this lightly. Like there's many a person that folks that, of course, I won't call their name, but, where I walked into their office and literally, like, they have a whole jar of Tums, like a big, look, they went
Mm.
to the Costco and got the Costco
Oh,
Tums jar,
wow.
okay? And so, and again, you have to ask yourself, like, is it worth that, right?
Right.
Or individuals who I help put into positions, hired into roles like senior executive roles, and a few months down the road, they're having heart issues,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're like not of the age where they should be having those things, and the weight gain and things like that, because again, like, you will incur those challenges. And so I think this is a great learning opportunity here with what you're sharing, because especially as we go into this year, I think that folks are going to be more people may find themselves for the first time having to walk these lines and be challenged. So this is something that they can pull out a pen and paper and take some notes, because you hit the nail right on the head, right? Um, Again, it's about managing those emotions, the emotional intelligence, right? There's a book about it. Get it and read it. And, because it really can help you. It really can help you. And again, you would be so surprised at how it will turn things around, right? So, what, somebody meant for evil can actually work for your good.
Yeah.
But
And it
some
did.
but sometimes you can personalize a thing so much
Yeah.
that you make a permanent decision in a temporary situation,
Right.
because that may just be a temporary situation. Because if you're on the move, you're on the move, right? And you might only be in that department but so long, because again, that's your stepping stone. And so you getting all worked up about somebody that is kind of going around and having an opinion about you, again, you do have to be a little bit savvy in how you handle that. Now, I do want to say one again, in my opinion, you do have to check it, because I've seen these things go out of hand, and where there are organizations that don't have strong HR leadership, it can be detrimental to the employee. Like it
Right.
can. Like, and that's the thing y'all gonna get over here. Like, I'm not gonna cookie cutter. I'm not going to you know, like paint you rainbows and sunshine. The reality is, and I love my field. Like, I chose my field when I was in high school. Like, I left high school and went to college knowing I was going to be an HR person. And unfortunately, we do have some bad apples or ill experienced people. People, they look at the soft skills of our job or the people side of it, and they're attracted to that, and they think that, oh, I can do that too, and everyone tries to just jump into our space. And HR really is employment law at best, right? And
That's
so
true. That is so
it
true.
really it is like,
Yep.
I could have stayed and got a couple more classes and had a law degree too, right?
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to make some money. So look, uh, but um, but again, like I have, like behind those closed doors, when you sit in those performance management discussions, which
Right.
a lot of folks, like a lot of like the major companies are on the same HR cycle plan. So we're in that time and where you probably have just wrapped up performance
That's
reviews,
it.
or you're in the tail end,
Yep.
and now the compensation planning begins.
That's
And
right.
most of the time, most companies, your compensation is tied to your performance. So that's where this can go bad. So let me tell you like how it could go bad, because it goes beyond just being upset that, oh, like somebody, I'm hearing someone's bad mouthing me, because perception can be reality.
Yeah.
And if somebody creates that perception, what happens is where we have those calibration meetings to discuss performance.
That's right.
And I have literally sat at the table of directors, right? This was early in my career. And I kid you not, it was like an episode of Seinfeld. We bring up someone's name, we're just going to say his name is Ryan. Okay, what about Ryan, guys? Do we have any feedback there? Someone with position or authority in the room says, oh, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And then next thing you know, someone across the table says, oh, yeah, he's a good guy. Someone else says, oh, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Well, again, unlucky for them, they didn't have the green HR person. They had Clonetta, right? The HR whisperer. So I'm going to ask questions because I want to know why he's a good guy. Okay. So, like, can you give me some examples of
Yeah.
like some things he's delivered? And again, guys, I joke on here, but I'm tactful and professional. Trust me, I really am professional and tactful in my work. But no, I want to know why he's a good guy. So I'm gonna
Right.
ask questions, and that's what we're supposed to do. But the reality is you're not always going to get that,
No.
because again, as HR folks, like, understand we're employees of those organizations until unless you start your own business, like, which is the phase I'm in now. But when you're employed, like, your compensation and your performance
Yeah.
is measured by some of these same people. And so some of the HR folks don't want to challenge. They
Yeah.
don't want to raise those taboo questions or challenge the status quo. But I have always, again, it just goes to what's in you. And I've been raised that, again, morally, to do things that are right and to stand
Right.
on business, so
Yeah.
to speak,
Right.
and fight for my rights and things like that. And so no, so I would ask those questions and dive a little bit deeper to try to learn and understand, okay, so why is this person a good guy? But see, if I just sit there like a quiet little mouse, then guess what? This person was going to get like the highest rating
Yeah.
of the entire team, and there was no substance behind it to even back it up. And can you imagine how that would disadvantage like others within the organization, right?
Right.
That maybe we're outworking this person. And in your circumstance or situation, again, what's troubling is with this person trying to negate the effort and the work that you were doing. Again, when you get in those closed doors, like if enough people start hearing those, we would call them whispers, because they weren't the HR whisperer. They were like the wrong kind of whispers. And sometimes people, like, that's how they would phrase it. They would say, "Oh, I've been hearing whispers about her." Right? They don't
Yeah.
go they don't go into detail, right? Unless, and look, if I'm there, we're gonna talk details. We're gonna talk facts.
What type of whispers?
Exactly, exactly. And that's the thing. I had to learn the soft skills and how to be tactful.
Right.
And because like I said, I was still an employee too, right? um and like asking the right questions, and like even changing the inflection of my voice,
Hmm.
right? Because sometimes we're gonna just talk real, as Black women, they try to say we're
Angry,
um the angry Black woman, or like
combative,
folks get
or
so
yeah.
scared of us.
Yeah.
So so I do, like, I, again, those cues, like, I keep in the back of my mind, and so I make sure that, again, where I am having the challenge, that it's coming out in a way that's non-threatening,
Right.
right? And so so again, I'm glad that you recognize the dangers, and I think you handled that greatly, because it could have turned bad. And
Yeah.
that's where a lot of employees, like, they turn bad, right? Or we see, and now because we're in this TikTok era, we see people that are able to express themselves. And so now they go to TikTok and they let loose, right? Whereas, in the past, folks just had to keep that stuff inside. But
Yeah.
that's where some employees, like where you see them doing the things like the quiet vacation, and essentially it's still in time from the company, but they're like, I don't care, I deserve this, because they've been done so bad, right? They've had these types of instances occur in their career that are unfair and unjust, and they, they didn't know how to handle them. But no, I
Right.
think you handled that appropriately. Again, using those soft skills, approaching the person, and most of the time, when you approach somebody like that, they're gonna cower anyway, right? Because they don't expect that you're gonna actually approach them or call them
Yeah.
out, you
Yep.
know. And again, when you're able to do it tactfully and not aggressively and not with your emotions involved in it, it can't be twisted or turned around on you that, oh, you're difficult to work with. Because that's the other thing they'll say, oh, you're difficult to work
Quickly, quickly.
with.
And I tell my son all the time that how I look at corporate America, and everybody may look at it differently, but how I look at corporate America is every day you're going in and you're trying to get as many people as possible to vote for you. It's vote for me, vote for me, vote for me, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing because you have to have, all of these people, on your side because you never know what's going to happen
Yeah.
to where these people have to stand up and say, "Oh no,
Yeah.
I know Jasmine,"
Yeah.
right? And so um it's about being pleasant to work with.
Mm-hmm.
You can stand your ground on issues, and I had challenges with that in my career because with being Black and a female in a male dominated industry, a lot of times they will discredit your thoughts and your views, so you
Mm-hmm.
have to kind of stand up for yourself, but you have to, like you said, you have to do that in a way that
Yeah.
doesn't harm the working relationship,
Yeah.
and that can be challenging.
No, absolutely. Now I want to, because you touched on something key. Um, and then I'm going to share a story, but I want, if you can, share some hypotheticals or things you've observed, not necessarily things that have happened to you personally, but things you may have observed or friends have come to you with, because I want people to be able to recognize tangibly what that discrediting behavior can look like. Because they
um
do it in a sly way,
Yeah,
right?
it is. It's in a sly way. I remember the first time that I was actually a lead engineer on a project
Mm-hmm.
with a guy. He basically asked me about something. I told him that we weren't going to do that, and then he went and talked to three of my coworkers that had been leads longer, had been with the company longer than I have,
Mm-hmm.
and told them that what I was doing. And one actually approached me and told me that I needed to do what he said, you
Hmm.
know. Now he wasn't even involved. He didn't know what was going on, but he felt the need to come and tell me what I needed to do as the lead. And I
Hmm.
politely told him that I was the lead. He wasn't. And if he had an issue with it, we need to go talk to our manager about it. Because why are you low key? Why are you involved? Right. And I understand this too. You can't take offense to this all the time either. Sometimes people have a better working relationship with other people in your group, and a lot of times they'll go run stuff by them. And I get that. I didn't understand that when I was a younger engineer, but now that I've been in
Hmm.
the field a long time, I see it now because you rely on this person. You've worked with them for 20 years, you know, and so you have a different working rapport with them. But sometimes we don't take into consideration how that impacts the early career, right, or
Oh
the
yeah,
newer engineer, and how that makes them feel. So I
yeah,
try to keep that in mind now that I am the more mature engineer, and because I remember how
yeah,
I felt, when I was the early career, right? But
yeah.
um yeah, and so it got into a situation where the guy came back that was wanting the stuff done, and he got in my face and started pointing his finger and
Mm,
yelling at me on what I was gonna do.
mm.
And that was a really tough one. um Benton Harbor, Michigan
That's what I
really
was
almost
thinking.
came
I was
out.
look. That's why I was not gonna say anything, but I was like, wait a minute. Look.
Yeah, he yelled in my face and he pointed his finger in my face.
Hmm.
And I had my hands to my side, but my fists were balled up, and I was like, I'm getting mad, And he told me, you show me where it says so and so, and I was like, I don't have to show you shit. And then my manager was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And that probably wasn't handled the right way. I mean, I was 5 years. I was 5 years in at that time.
Yeah,
So that was a blunder, right? I should have remained cool. Um, but I was early on, and
yeah.
just him in my face and yelling. I didn't. That's a
And that
blunder.
in your 20s still, right?
Right, right, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
'cause
yeah,
I want to provide that context,
yeah,
right? That's a lot for somebody 20 something to be handling,
yeah.
right? Because a lot of times, like you may not have experienced that before, or grown or equipped those skills, right?
Right.
And again, like it's a contrast. Like I'm gonna talk about you so people understand, right? Like keep in mind, like in high school, we were in the look, and you just gonna feel how you feel. That's on you. But we were in the advanced placement classes, right? So you have to understand, like, kind of all our lives, we were highly excelling. Okay. And, and people dealt with us from that vantage point, from that vein,
That's
right?
true.
And then when you went to college, the same, you were doing well in college, in a sorority, doing well, making a name for yourself and stuff like that. So then you get thrust into these working environments, right? And sometimes that's challenging to people because one, who's this little young whippersnapper
Right.
gonna try to come take my job,
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, because sometimes that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like I know you were saying, like, yeah, some people have their relationships or whatever that they built, but sometimes it is just pure jealousy or hating
Yeah.
or survival of the fittest because they feel threatened, right? Because this young person, and then they're more intelligent than you expected them to be, or they're picking things up, and people like them, and so folks start thinking like, okay, they're going to pass me by, so they begin to get intimidated and start to try to put roadblocks and things
Right.
in your way. So that does happen for sure.
Yeah, and I think I'm very grateful that I did have corporate experience before coming to uh, my job that I've my career I've been in this
Hmm.
long, the company I've been with for over 23 years. because I know that uh, those corporate environments help to prepare me a little better than a lot of people, right? Because if you're coming into this cold, it can just
Yeah.
be rough. And I had worked in production environments
Hmm.
prior and corporate environments, and now the company I work for is actually a split environment. It is,
Hmm.
plant and corporate. It's a mixed use. So
Yeah.
it's great that I've had experience with both, because a production environment is totally different than just a pure, office cubicle
Yeah.
environment. And some people have never had any experience at all,
Hmm.
with, like you said, the plant or the production environment. And,
Yeah.
you know, that can be challenging, if you've never, experienced it, because it's a totally different culture
No, it
for the
is.
plant and production than it is in the,
It is like they come at you a whole different way. Um, you know, and I was going to share about like the discrediting. One of the ways that that happens as well is like I had an intern. She was an engineer because I had started with actually of most of the companies I was with, I started a program with Michigan State in engineering because of relationship, right? I had a relationship with Michigan State because it was in my alma mater, and then I also had a relationship with some folks that were over some programs. So I was able to just make a call, right? And then again, those soft skills and relationships where you're able to do things with ease
right,
that, we've been trying for years to, and
right.
you're able to pick up the phone and create a relationship. And so we started getting interns from Michigan State, which their engineering program is really good. And this particular young lady also was a chemical engineering major and had like a 3.9 GPA. So say all this to say she was on top of her game.
Yeah.
And she shared with me she had gone to, they had taken them to Chicago. We were in Michigan. They had taken them to Chicago for some like engineering day or event or something. And there was a lady that was kind of leading the group, and she actually had the audacity to look, and this was a subtle way, and this is why I'm sharing this because it can be very overt and it can be very subtle. So she looked at her and she said, oh, like, because she was asking questions of the group, right, and taking their questions, and she looked at her and said, oh, I know you're just here to listen, right, you
Oh,
know
wow.
and like almost an assumption like she was just a slacker or
Hmm.
didn't have the intelligence. And again, this girl was at the top of her class, right?
Wow.
And thank goodness she knew and understood what that was and what was going on there. Of course, she was a black female, the only person of color in that whole group. Um, and because of her parents had equipped her and had conversations with her growing up, like she understood when those um, biases or um, sometimes we call them microaggressions
Hmm.
occur. And so she was able to go and talk to the person that was over that program. And so they were able to address, or actually, they removed that woman.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, again, like, you can do your little nasty this if you want to, but you're going to come across somebody that knows they don't have to tolerate that. And then it may remove you from the whole situation. Right.
Hmm. That's great.
Yeah, no, it is because oftentimes you like when you start investigating these things, you learn like there's hundreds of kids that have experienced similar behavior, but they never spoke up because
Yeah.
they didn't know that they should or that they could. They
Right.
didn't make waves or things like that. And so that's why addressing some of these things is important because sometimes it's not just all about you, like it's behavior that may have been going on over time and then may continue on after you.
That's
And
true.
so you can help kind of be the stopper, so that it kind of, you know, it gets pulled out. Um but no, I think that like there's something to be said too around just parents, one, making sure your kids have exposure to the work environment. Like I think that is like the best learning situation, right? I think there should be balance because again, when you're going to college, you do want your kids to have the option to be able to focus on their academics.
Right.
But oftentimes, like as recruiters, we're looking for that experience too.
That's true.
Like I'm gonna look for, even if I have to take the kid that has a little bit lower GPA. So again, like I said, she had a 3.9. If she hadn't been doing these internships, she probably would have had a 4.0 or above, right?
Hmm.
But she had the mix of both, right? And so it's like I would take like a slightly lower GPA than a 4.1 GPA, and you have no actual
No
real world
experience. Yeah.
experience, you haven't worked or interned anywhere, you know, because again, you want that balance in place.
That's true. And I think that I would think a lot of times when I've done interviewing for our company, if they don't have experience, it really doesn't give you an opportunity to kind of see their soft skills in play. Um, even when they interview, they're having to use all school examples, right? Because they don't have any
Yeah,
relevant work experience, and that makes it tough because
yeah,
it's just not the same environment, with school.
yeah.
So,
There's some, I mean, like, yeah, there's some stuff that they can substitute for the work environment, but no, it helps, right?
yeah,
Because again, it's a different world because it's again, like there's money on the line, like,
right.
just to talk straight, like there's money on the line, like in the real world work environment. One of the environments I was in, it was um it was not a textbook environment. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. It was, when I talk about a whole new world, that was that plant world, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like people were cuss. If you just were like, "Oh my god, I can't," you would be like, oh, just every day, "I can't believe people are cussing." Like it's to the point sometimes when people are cursing, like I don't even hear it, right? Because it's like my ears had gotten so
Hmm.
um used to hearing like such bad language in those
Hmm.
environments, and like seeing people lose their minds, like the supervisors and things, like literally lose their minds, right? Because they know they're being measured on their metrics,
Right.
which are driving revenues and things like that. um like I
Yeah,
remember,
rate and production and stuff like that.
yeah, like I remember, I had someone who was playing us, right? And she was trying, but the HR whisperer was there. Look, it was her day. This woman, she did not want to work. She would literally, so she would come into labor relations in the plant with her hair freshly done, okay, straight from the barber shop, and have a little wrap on it, and say, "I need to go home, you know, um, I'm not doing well." And then she started coming with these restrictions from the doctor.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So when they come in, then as HR, we work with
The
medical
modifications
and
and
we
stuff.
evaluate, yep, the different jobs. And then, we find a job that's appropriate. Now here's a little trick. Um, this was considered like an occupational, because she was claiming she got hurt at work, right? And the reality is it's a negative blow to your metrics, right?
Yeah.
If you have to send someone out for no work available. So we try with everything within us. We're going to find something to do. Even if I have to sit you down in labor relations and have you help me file some paperwork, I'm
Right.
going to find something for you to do, right? And, we had the doctor because we actually had a doctor on site.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so we had her involved working with me and the union because it was unionized,
Yeah.
find, a job that fit the restrictions where she would be able to do it. And this job, again, it was, and you guys can guess probably where it was because it was automotive. And this job, I didn't even know this job existed. Like it had a chair that was like on a string, like on the line. And so you sit in the chair. You literally had to kick your foot forward like a swing, and it would bring you up to the truck. And you had a little, almost like a little hammer type of gadget, the rubber ones, and you had to hit the little, on the tires, the wheels. You have the
Uh-huh.
hubcap, so you put the hubcap there, you hit it, kick your leg back, it swings you back. Okay, and get you ready to get your next one. So when the next car comes, you kick your leg forward, it swings you forward, you put that in there and you hit it. And I said, this job is easy. Like, wait a minute. And when I tell you, the supervisor that was there, and he was a young cat too, and
Uh-oh.
he was like very, very, because I think he actually was getting really good numbers. Like with his team, he was
Oh,
in,
okay.
in their production and doing well. And so we got that woman down there. And I'll never forget, it was me, the doctor, the union guy, and then we got the supervisor. And so we switched out the person that was doing the job, and we put her in the little chair to see if she could do it. And honey, she sat there like this in the chair, and the cars are just going.
Oh no, I know that man came
He
unglued.
lost. He was like jumping up and down. He was, because there was a big like board, right, that had the number. You could just see the numbers
Yeah,
like
the numbers, yeah.
just going bad, like red lighting up, right? Because we getting behind. And he went off. Like when I tell you he was cursing, I couldn't even be mad at him. And
Yeah.
it was almost comical to me because I couldn't believe this woman, like just to get out of work. Like that's how much she wanted to get out of work. Like she would not even try. She literally just sits there in the chair. Like she couldn't do anything. And he lost it completely. He was, I can't believe y'all down here trying to do this effing experiment. Look at my numbers, and so, at that point, because there was a point where you knew where people were playing the system. I think I ended up writing her up for lack of effort because there is such a thing. And so I got her. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, come on, come to labor relations. I think I wrote her up because I'm like, you want to be home? I'm gonna get you home with no pay. Okay, and so you know, you just again, you're going to encounter all kind of shenanigans and
Yeah,
scenarios that would completely shock you, right? And so it's important to have that exposure so that when you do get into like your post grad school or post even undergrad career, you are well equipped in how to handle those things, you know
right.
you
So
know
true.
and sometimes again you might have to like some stuff you might have to just play off, right? And then just like, maybe you have a bestie or something you're able to vent to afterwards. But you will experience some things that you could never even dream.
Right.
Especially like I said, if you're on the move and you're doing well, it could be a myriad of things. And
Yeah,
sometimes it may not even have anything to do with it, but merely you joining that team or department might be blocking someone's promotion, or that's how they
that's true.
perceive it, right? And so you feel like they're targeting you, and it's not even that personal for them. It's just, the fact
Yeah.
that,
They had
maybe
some other
they thought
plans.
they were, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yep.
They had some other plans.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so there can be a lot of that. But no, I'm telling you, like there's so much that like you know, even about the just not being green. I think that's something, Like I have to be thankful. One of my jobs, like I said, that was just an example of the one plant job. I had several plant locations throughout my career that I was in and a part of, and some of the most craziest things happen. So nothing phases me, right?
Right.
Um, and so again, where somebody might encounter something and it really throws them off and they're like, I don't know how to handle this. I literally had someone that this particular company, we did random drug screenings, but we did hair sample drug
Oh
screenings.
man,
um yeah. And so if you know about hair samples, like
goes back far.
anything that you take stays in your system like 3 months or so,
Yep.
right? And so I had someone that was called for a random, and apparently he must have been using. I think it was kind of known he might have had a habit before. And so when he got up to medical, he had shaved every hair on his body, every hair on his body,
Wow.
every hair on his body. And so, of course, they call HR, right? Because Clanetta, this guy, he's here, and he has no hair. Like he even shaved the hair on his arm. We have those fine hairs on our
Oh
arms.
wow.
He shaved everything, right? And so, unfortunately, he could not do the drug screen, right? And so I had to put him out of work until he could grow some hair. And he would call me. And again, these are the things like you think like this isn't what I thought when I was in grad school that I would be dealing with. And
Right.
he's calling me every week, letting me know he's taking Rogaine, he's using it, and he's working on it, and he's hoping to have some hair soon. Unfortunately, came back, honey, and still failed the drugs.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because
Well,
I
because it
was
went
thinking,
back 3 months though, right?
I was like, well, this is kind of a good plan because he could buy himself some more time, right?
Hmm.
You know, because
That's
I'm
true.
thinking if he plays this right, he gonna exhaust hopefully the time and get whatever he thinks is in his system out of his system. But no, he didn't. So
Dang.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I said, I've seen it all, right? And
Yeah, that's crazy. So he shaved his eyebrows too?
honey, yes. When I say everything, I mean everything.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where like it's not a mistake, right? It was
Yeah.
intentional to try to circumvent the process the company had in place or whatever. But but no, it happens. But no, I think these were some good examples and discussions around just some of the craziness that can happen at work. But the moral of the story is like work on those soft skills. And then, like, do you have any books that you recommend or practices to be able to work on those soft skills?
Yeah, I one book I would say is Mindset by Carol Dweck. That book is really good.
Okay.
Um, the emotional intelligence book we talked about. I'm not sure is that by Daniel Goldman. I don't remember who that book is
I
by.
think so. Yeah, I think it is.
That's a great book. And um,
Yeah.
anything I would say anything Dale Carnegie. Um, anything Dale Carnegie.
Yeah. Now I have one, an emotional intelligence 2.0. Um, Travis Bradbury and Jean Graves.
Okay.
So this is one as well. Um,
Yeah, anything I would say Dale Carnegie because Dale Carnegie a lot of, and if you get a chance to take any of the training for Dale Carnegie, I would definitely recommend that.
hmm
Um my son did Dale Carnegie at 12 and I was really amazed at um the level of emotional intelligence it gave him and how it really helped his soft skills.
Oh, okay.
Taking that training, I didn't even know they had Dale Carnegie for kids. I'd only just seen it at work, and I was like, "Wow, this is so
Hmm.
neat."
No,
But I
that's
mean,
really cool.
huh?
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I thought
Yeah.
so too. It was a great opportunity. So he took the training at 12, and they actually got college credit for it.
Okay.
Um, yep. So it was a really great program, and um, but they discussed a lot of good mental health practices, and I think that's another part of this. And I feel like corporations are finally starting to get this, that they have to cater to the whole person
Hmm.
if they want to have a quality, healthy workforce.
Hmm.
I see a lot more training being offered for stress management and kind of lifestyle management on how to organize your life and things like that, because if people don't have those skills, I mean, it does seep into the job and their performance on the job.
Yeah.
And I think they're finally starting to kind of realize that.
Yeah.
But I would definitely recommend, yep, Dale Carnegie training, and just anything on personal development and personal growth.
Hmm.
Um, but definitely having a lifelong learning mindset, because the way, information is doubling every 12 hours at this point. And so with that, you have to understand that you can make a plan today and tomorrow it could be obsolete, or there could be new information available
Hmm.
that could move the plan faster. So you
Yeah.
got to always be open, to new information and seeking out information.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get stuck in ruts.
Yeah. And also I want to say too, like, don't get too hard on yourself. If you find or you reflect that maybe there were some situations you didn't handle the best.
Right.
Like, those are lessons, right?
That's true.
I believe there's no losses, only lessons in life.
Right.
So, it's something for you to learn from, assess whether or not you need some additional skills that you have to build. And then, like, the next time that you come across something like that, you will be able and you will be equipped to be able to handle it in a much, much better way that's going to warrant you a much, much better outcome. And so I think that, that's something to think about too, especially I think with the younger generation. You know, I love all the technology. I'm a proponent of the technology, but I do think that it does have an impact on the social skills
Yes. It's a
and
it's a
even
major problem.
and how especially the youngsters measure themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes they can be so hard on themselves
Yeah.
that they just didn't get it right. And I just think that, again, be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
None of us get it right all the time. Look,
Right.
even the HR whisperer, right? And I'm a Pisces. So look, we know what that means. Overthink, right? So we're overthinkers. And so, sometimes I feel so bad. We feel bad like when we do, like sometimes I think I'll be like, oh my goodness, I probably really hurt that person's feelings. But you know, but sometimes I'll be like, they look good. Like they needed to be. I'm just playing. But no, but again, like just take it as why are you laughing?
A mess.
But no, just take it as a lesson and see
Yeah.
where maybe you can improve or you can do it a little bit better. And and sometimes get a second opinion,
Right.
even with HR, right? Because you may have instances where you do have somebody that's green in the field and they themselves, their vantage point is very narrow because they haven't yet grown a vast skill set and knowledge that has equipped them to be able to handle, issues appropriately, right?
Right.
They just may not know how to handle things. And so, like I know, like, yeah, there's some bad apples out there. There's some folks that are green that are still learning. And then there's just some that just don't know what the hell they doing. Like they shouldn't even be in this at all, right? And
Yeah.
so, unfortunately, it puts a bad taste in employees' mouths, right?
Yeah.
For HR, and they, because they have had to live through those bad situations, and that's why I
Yeah.
say, you know, don't hesitate. Like if you feel like you've been wronged or something hasn't been handled appropriately, you can talk with your manager, or there's outside resources that you usually can go to and get a better understanding and clarity on,
Yeah.
if something in fact was handled appropriately.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. And I think enough employees don't understand it. I feel like sometimes, unfortunately, um, the employees that weaponize those resources, they know about them, right? Because they
Hmm.
know they're pulling some nonsense over on the company, and they know exactly where to go, you know. And they're right down at the EOC office every month filing
Yep.
paperwork. Um, and then it's like some of the ones that really may have an actual situation going on that should be evaluated or looked at by somebody, unbiased. They don't even know how to go through that process.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. And then sometimes you just get in those situations and you just don't really know who you can trust.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. And that happens too. That happens too. And that's where I think that years ago, like we would teach, like with one of my roles, my boss and I, like for individuals that we'd recognize that had potential to grow, we did try to provide some development even in house, right? And so one of the things that we would talk about is, again, just like these companies have their own board of directors, you as an individual need to have your own board of directors, right? The people in your life who are trusted individuals that
right.
know you on different levels, right? They know different facets of you that you can go to and get advisement, or that who will come to you and be honest with you,
Right.
and where they see a blind spot or an opportunity for you, they will not hesitate to like tell you, and
Yep.
someone for whom that you actually look up to and hold with high regard, that you actually will listen to them and you will hear and receive,
Yeah.
what.
Value the feedback. Right.
Mhm.
Value
And
the
it's not just gonna be giving you, like telling you what they think you want to hear.
right.
Right. You know?
Yeah, we all have to have that, and that is so important.
And
Yeah.
again, like I said, for every area of your life, right?
Right.
Not just necessarily work, but maybe, again, sometimes it blurs over. Like if you're somebody that's super sensitive, like that's going to blur over into your work relationships, right? But I guarantee you, if it's happening there, it's probably happening with your friend groups, and there's somebody in that friend group, they're tired of you. Look, every time they bring up something or
Mhm.
something happens, you are like falling apart and just,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, sometimes folks don't have that network of trusted individuals, or they haven't created that safe space where they can receive information. So folks don't share and they go through life. And I've seen that even in leaders that have somehow surpassed or gotten their way into leadership roles, and they've picked up some bad behaviors or hindering behaviors along the way. And because no one has ever taken the time
About it.
to highlight them for them, they're still carrying those behaviors. And that's a detriment to them, because, see,
Mhm.
now they're not here as a new
Right.
grad entering an organization. They're here, right?
Yeah,
And you have
exactly.
more of a spotlight on you.
Right.
You have more visibility, you have more eyes on you. And guess what? The consequences are that much bigger,
Yeah, that's true.
because you have the ability to harm more
That's
people.
true.
So it's
That's
not
so
about
true.
just harming like your coworker in the cubicle next to
Right.
you. right? You have the ability to hinder or harm an entire organization
Organization, yeah. Yeah, that's
because of
true.
those behaviors like you never addressed and no one ever took the time to point out to you, you know. And I say be willing to receive feedback.
Right.
It might, even as business owners, right? Because I know we're talking about from an employee perspective, but these things also cross over into
Yeah.
um, entrepreneur. And sometimes it might be things I've just, again, like Jasmine said, be a continuous learner. Like I experienced something, what, a couple months ago or so, and I didn't like it. It didn't feel good, but you know what? It helped me level up,
Yeah.
you know? And so, like, someone, I was in a meeting and someone was challenging like one of our products or our services. And why is it like this? But what I got from it, because like I said, when you change your mindset, and like I said, there's no losses,
Yep. You
there's
either
only
win or you
learn.
learn.
Yeah. I realized, you know what? Maybe I need to take some time and explain for folks, like in our brochure, what makes us different,
Oh, okay.
you know, why we are. It's with our VA services. Because the person was like, oh, I can I can go to something something
Hmm.
Filipino.com and get somebody for $3 an hour. And instead of me saying, if you want them raggedy services, go over there, But you know what? I realized, no, again, like the services that we provide are different. The way that we tailor and package them, the way that we recruit is different. Again, you're getting, recruiting from that's led, because I'm not actually the one doing it right now. I've trained someone on my team, but you're getting recruiting that's led by, again, someone out of that Fortune 50 global organization that is fact trained in this and factors into cultural competence in my recruiting and my hiring processes, and being able to just delve a little bit deeper below the surface to quickly hone and pick out somebody's skills and abilities, right? And if they're going to
Well,
be a
with
match.
yeah, but with that business owner, or that company, well, what that business owner needs to think though is not to get in their feelings. When someone says that, what that says to me is, oh, I haven't shown the right value in this.
Yeah.
Right. And
No,
so
exactly. Yeah. And
that's really what it is. I haven't shown
yeah.
them the right value in this, and that's why they're discrediting the client.
Yeah. And they
Um,
still might not be a fit, which they're
right.
not. But it allowed me an opportunity to take a look at what we were sharing and say, can we provide additional information so that they're able to see the distinction
Hmm.
of what we're providing here versus where what somebody else may be providing. And again, at the end of the day, it still may not be a fit.
Right.
You know, they might not be the right client, but it still was a win, right? It was a lesson that also turned into a win because it also helps to repel the
Hmm.
wrong
Right.
client.
The wrong client. Yeah.
And so you don't want those folks. Those are time drainers, right? It sounds good, and you think like, okay, well, at least it's some money, but really, it will like take your business down,
Hmm.
because when you're having to like spend most of your time with somebody um, that's only bringing in maybe a fraction of the revenue. Like when you think about the Pareto process, the whole 80/20 rule,
Right.
you know, you want to be able to maximize your time to get the most profits. And so, again, if that time is being taken up with somebody that's not even helping to maximize your profits, then, you know, like it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It
So
just
true.
doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, again, that's part of that being the continuous learner. And again, like, even, like I said, having in your personal life those trusted people,
Yes.
like, look, ladies, we know, sometimes just because you can get in the pants, you shouldn't be wearing them. And so, like, sometimes you got to have, look, somebody that can tell you, mm-mm, You don't need to wear them no
Those
more.
aren't the ones.
And that's how my dad's girlfriend. She was that straight with it. Look, she'd be like, "You don't need to wear them no more." Like that, you know. But but no, you need that person who can tell you, so you're not out here looking crazy,
Yeah.
right? You know, because your spouse or your significant other, he might not feel like he has the green light to say
Well, he wants to have peace in the home, right?
that, right? So you might need to have um somebody that again, like your good girlfriend, right?
Hmm.
That looks out for you.
Yeah.
That's gonna tell you got something on your teeth.
Right.
You got, that wants you to present your best self forward, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, so just so think about that, right? As kind of like I think that's a key takeaway too. Like as you ready yourself for this 2025 year, making sure that you have, like that trusted team. Okay, before we end, I do want to touch on like, okay, some of the changes that are going to be interesting for work, for folks. So we already know with the government employees, the return to work, they actually had to return today. Um, but I think if you've been watching the news, and I'm sure memos went out and they haven't had their heads in the sand, they knew, right? This was
Yeah.
kind of, they should have known and should have been preparing, right? But no, it was official yesterday that no, tomorrow you need to be at work. You need to be at someone's office. And so I think that that's going to be, I think we've seen it in the private sector,
Right.
carrying out a little bit here or there. And so I have a feeling that it's going to make some of the leaders in those organizations feel validated in their thoughts and reasons for, forcing people back into the office.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that we're probably going to see more of that
I
occur,
think so too.
where they're forcing people back into the office. And wanting to see them there. Now, I'm going to challenge them and their HR teams. If you force these people back to the office, you better have a place for them to go and sit.
That's true.
Because those are horrible. Now, that's an HR blunder. That's a blunder, period, for the organization. But I say HR because this is a people related thing. And so, again, this is where you have to wonder like, how secure does the HR person in said organization feel that they can actually be honest and speak up? Because they're actually, I can't think of the company right now, but it was in an article just like last month or something where they forced their employees, a major corporation too, they forced the people back to work and they don't have space for them for all of them to sit,
Yeah.
you know and so the employees are of course complaining because they're not being productive, and in their mind they're like, when I was working from home, I had my space, I could go ahead and just get started with work. I'm walking
Mhm.
around this office building looking for a space to work. So now they've put in some kind of system where, like, you sign up or sign in on the day
Yeah.
you're
The,
going to
like
be
the
there.
hotel
So,
kiosk kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Check in. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And again, that comes from like plans, knee jerk reactions, and plans that aren't well thought out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the worst things that you can do or let happen, like within an organization that you're entrusted to be, like their human resources, support for. Like that's what we're there for. We're there to look at things through that HR lens. How is this going to benefit the company, but also what are the implications and the impacts on the employees, and have we prepared? And sometimes, like your leaders, they get so excited with something, and they make a decision and they just want to run with it. And sometimes you have to kind of help slow them down,
Hmm.
them back, and just ask the right questions. Have you thought
Right.
about have you thought about this? Have you thought about XYZ. Now, have we looked to see, like, okay, how many employees do we have? I'm going to pull an employee roster. All right, and how many actual desks do we have?
Right.
Okay. All right, we got musical chairs here. So what are we going to do? Because there's going to be some people that don't have a place to sit when the music stops. So how are we going to manage this and
Right.
coming up with, contingency plans and things like that? And so, um, yeah, so I think, like I said, I think we'll see probably more companies, putting their foot down and forcing folks back into the office. So,
Yeah, I believe so too.
yeah, yeah. And again, and I'm a proponent. I love work from home.
Me too.
I'm an HR person that, I've sat in meetings where I have been the only person or voice that is speaking up around working from home and the benefits of it, right? Um, One meeting in particular, it was a group of older males, older white males. Um, and again, I just think because from their vantage point, their generation of being in the workforce, that's what felt normal to them. And it feels abnormal to be able to kind of have the freedom, and the liberties. So they just want things back the way they were. It's basically what,
Yeah.
if I listen to them talk, like that's just kind of what I took from it. Um, and they complained about not being able to have the team camaraderie,
Yeah.
um, employees not being able to deliver. And so, again, from my lens and my vantage point, as I heard some of the complaints or reasons they were saying that they were a proponent for the, only in office work, I heard, okay, maybe some of the managers of these people aren't equipped to be able to manage remote work, which I think is a thing
Yeah.
because it actually is a different skill set.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, not a whole lot of people provided training to their managers on how to lead a team or train effectively remotely. And so, because we were forced in it all of a sudden,
Yeah.
shutdown period. And like I know we at the time I was still in the corporate space, like we did provide a training at some point, but it was some weeks in. And it seemed it was like it was a couple weeks in, and it did seem like very like elementary, things that you would think that people would know, and like just like getting the employees to think about the ergonomics of the space they were
Yeah.
working in, like literally in the presentation, like I can visualize it now. Like I think I had a segment in there that talked about, if you don't have like a stool under your desk. Maybe you can take, and this wasn't as a joke, Jasmine, but maybe you can take some of those Amazon boxes and
Mm-mm.
stack them up. Where you laugh? This was
Mm-mm.
serious, and use them to put your feet on, so you have a place to prop your feet up under your desk, or on your desk to prop up your computer, your laptop. For people that didn't have like, because not everybody had a whole office set up at home.
Yeah.
Some people did, right? So it was just a natural migration, but there were some folks that didn't. And
Right.
so, we provided them with some of those tools and things. And then for the managers, we had to talk with them about like maybe frequently checking in, right? Maybe
Uh-huh.
checking in a little bit more than they normally would, like if you were in office, because they don't, they didn't realize like they were checking in sometimes in office just by walking by, right?
Hmm.
On the way to get some more coffee, they're stopping at someone's cubicle. Hey, how you doing? That's a check in,
Hmm.
checking in, seeing how they're doing. Okay. I'll see you at lunch and going about your way. But you have to kind of be a little bit more intentional with it, and more importantly, having good metrics, like doing
Right.
the upfront planning, having good metrics in the beginning and measurables so that you are adequately able to measure if someone is performing and if
Yeah,
they're
that's
doing
true.
their job or if they're struggling and need help, you know? And so that's what I see from it. Um, I don't necessarily see the answer being, just get back into the office. But
Yeah.
I know everyone has their opinion. Um, I heard someone today, he's very adamant. He doesn't think work from home is appropriate.
Yeah.
Um, and he he shares that he believes like it's important if you do want to move up in the workforce that you have that FaceTime.
Yeah, I easily see how you can be forgotten about if you're
Hmm.
not in office. And a lot of people have talked about that. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a real thing, right? And I think it's something for companies to look at as well, because also like some of the stuff we talked about earlier, right? Some of the things that you may encounter in those workspaces and what have you, like that might make a person not want, or that might make a person want to be forgotten about,
yeah.
right? Because if I don't have to be there and deal with some of the
Yeah.
the antics and challenges that are going on, why not? I'll opt
Right.
out. you
That's
know
true.
yeah.
So
All
true.
right, is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think that covers it. I'm
All
still
right.
excited about this. Super excited.
Yeah, I am too. So like I said, every other Tuesday, 7 p.m., we'll be here with you guys for the HR Blunders. We are also going to have the opportunity for you to, if you have um, an issue or a topic that you want to submit to us, I'm going to give you the email in just a minute. Let me just find it and pull it up myself so that we can get it to you. But you will be able to email us and submit if there's a scenario you'd like to hear our take on. And if you want to, let us know if you you want it to be anonymous. We won't mention like the company name, your name or anything like that. We may, change the perhaps even the job titles of the characters, so to speak. But you can email us at hrblunders@gmail.com if you want to submit something for us to discuss. And so I'm looking forward to it because I think it's going to
Yeah.
be fun. I think that there's going to be a lot in the news. I'm
Yeah.
happy look, not TikTok is back on. And, I'm still not sure why Teams are still here, but, I was saying, Lord, take Teams, not TikTok.
That's
But,
hilarious.
but yeah, but maybe that's something we need to talk about too the next time. The teams etiquette. Because there's some blunders. Some of y'all have made some blunders with teams and you might not even know it.
Oh, I could definitely see that.
Okay. I'm telling you, nothing is private on
It's
teams.
not.
Okay. So, no, but this was very good. So, again, like if you want to catch the replay, catch it on Spotify. You can watch it here on the YouTube channel HR Blunders. And I think that's it.
All righty. Yes.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great one.